Trade House with another video. Today I'll be analyzing the markets for this week. I haven't taken a look at the market since last week, so this is going to be kind of a real in-depth analyzation session where I just literally go through most of the patterns or most of the charts that I trade and look for setups. So without further ado, let's get started. First pair I'll be looking at today is a few of the major stock pairs. So I'm going to start off with Apple, and literally you can see Apple has literally been consolidating for like 1-2 weeks in one spot right here. So let's zoom into the weekly time frame just to see what's actually happening. So we had this little box here that I'm looking at that's kind of acting as a support level where the market, whenever the market comes into the zone, you can see it came into the zone, it bounced off, it came to the zone, it bounced off, it bounced off, you know, it literally bounced off again here. So this is kind of a really strong I'll say support level that we're looking at, and right now the market has literally entered that area and it's bouncing off on the daily time frame and weekly time frame. So overall, if we zoom into the 12-hour time frame, you know, we'll see, okay, 8-hour not giving us too much, but literally if we look at the 4-hour time frame, we had this trend line coming up here. The market was moving a nice uptrend, and literally it broke down and it left a gap down here. So I'm looking at this gap down here. I'm assuming that the market is probably going to want to come back up. It's probably going to come back up, maybe fill this gap, and then we could potentially maybe see the market come a bit higher, maybe test these levels that were up here and head back lower if it's going to be in a downtrend. But this is kind of a really strong level, you know, so I'm really seeing if the market does bounce from the zone, it might just actually just keep, you know, moving upwards in an uptrend, and it could potentially come back and look at, you know, testing these levels up here. So I think this is a really strong support level on Apple. So let's see what it does over the next few days, but overall I think it's literally just sitting right now. You can see in the hourly time frame, you know, there's some turnaround, but it seems like it's definitely going to come up and fill this gap. So Apple traders, this is a good indication. If Apple goes up, generally the whole market goes up as well. Let's look at the next chart. So we have Microsoft here. So as you guys can see, if you zoom out on the weekly time frame, Microsoft is in a downtrend on a weekly time frame. If you come in onto daily time frame, you'll see a bit more as well. We're literally in a support level as well that has turned now into resistance. So the market has literally come through the zone. So literally it bounced here once, it bounced here once, it came down, it entered the zone, it wants to go back, it couldn't, it came back down, and it bounced again off of the zone, and we've literally cracked below. So what I'm seeing right now with the Apple pair, if you zoom onto the 8-hour time frame, I am seeing literally a turnaround on Microsoft here. So if you zoom onto the 4-hour, get a bit more clarity. So this is one thing I've noticed here, is that we have this massive gap here that the market still needs to fill. And generally what the market does, it fills gaps. So if it leaves gaps, especially big gaps, it generally tends to come back and fill them. So as you can see, we have this trend line. I think what a nice thing would be is to maybe put an alert on this trend line. If the market does get above this trend line, we should be looking to you know, potentially get into this trade to the upside, or it could be an indication that the market is heading higher. So as you can see, if we zoom out onto the 1-hour time frame, this is what I'm seeing right here. We're having these two lower lows right here. So we had this lower low here, we had this lower low right here, and the market is heading lower. You could probably also take this lower low here and this one right here. So literally the market is consolidating in the zone, you know. It was either it was going to pop to the upside or pop to the downside, and it seems like it's popping to the upside. This was kind of a previous low, so you can see it kind of correlates with that zone. So clearly the market does want to stay below this level, and this is probably a good indication that the Apple stock is definitely heading higher, and will potentially come and fill this gap here. It might not completely fill it, but I definitely see, you know, the market definitely getting above this trend line that we have right there. So let's see if the market can get above this trend line. We've put an alert there, and that will be a good indication as well to, you know, the indices pairs that we trade on this channel. So let's move on to the next one. If we look at the Google charts, let's look at it on a weekly time frame. Let's zoom out here. So as you guys can see, the market is also in a downtrend right now. It literally broke below this previous support level I have down here and is now testing the support zone here at, what is this number, 84.6, around that price. The next level is 76%. If we look at the overall movement to the downside, the market has moved in total nearly 67% this year. That is massive. So I don't see this stopping right now, especially because if we zoom on to the daily time frame, you guys can see we had the zone here. This was kind of like a consolidation point, and the market was either going to break to the upside or break to the downside. You could see, you know, it gave us an indication it was going to go higher here, but then it literally left a massive gap to the downside. I think this was just before James Powell spoke last week with the FOMC. So this is what we had, and the market has also left the gap here. So what I'm seeing right now is the market has obviously taken a big move to the downside, and generally, you know, if the market moves really big to the downside, we'll generally retrace some of that movement. But in this case, it seems like the Google stock is more further away from filling this gap than, you know, the other two pairs that we looked at. So let's move this, put a trend line here. Let's add a alert onto this trend line. So if the market gets above this trend line, we know that it's potentially gonna, you know, maybe break above, try and retest it and head higher, and then its next level to take out is 90. So let's put an alert at 90 as well. So this will give us an indication that, you know, Google is actually heading higher. And if it definitely breaks above this zone is here, this is 91, then I think that would be a really nice indication that, you know, this market is definitely heading higher and trying to fill this gap. But until we see that, let's just, you know, wait and see what the market gives us. But for now, we've had a nice bounce right here, and it seems like the market is probably going to come and give us some action here. So let's see this week. But overall, it seems like things are heading higher. The market is retracing, and I think we should keep an eye out on this trade. So let's head off to the next trade. We have Amazon next. So this is the next pair that we are looking at right now. And if you guys can see on the weekly time frame, if we zoom out, you know, it's also in a downtrend. It's literally just broken my previous support level here, and it has cracked down below. So the next level the market is looking at is this 84 support zone that I had here. You can see the market, you know, respected this level 1, 2, 3 times. So I think this would be definitely an area we want to look out, have an alert set up there, because if the market does potentially come to the zone, what we could see is probably a bounce off of that level, because it is a pretty strong level. So if Amazon doesn't retrace the upside and heads lower this week, I think this could be definitely a trade that we'll be looking at, because this is a clear bouncing level, a clear support level. I probably don't think we'll go all the way back up, but I think if it does come down to this level, we could see Amazon definitely giving us a nice trade to the upside. So let's see the support lines there. Okay, that's not really giving us anything. Let's take that. Let's try and draw maybe another trend line going down. Okay, so we're kind of having the market is in literally one zone right now. We have this level here. Let's see where the next resistance line is here. Okay, so if the market doesn't get above this level, we're going to put alerts there if it does try and get above there. But if it does not get above the zone, we also have, if we zoom onto the 30-minute time frame, we have this kind of previous high here. So what we could see Amazon potentially doing is coming, maybe retesting the zone and heading lower, or if it does come into this level, definitely be looking to get into the bull trend. This would be a nice place to get into the trade if it does go to the upside, but let's kind of wait and see and wait for our trade setup. We'll be waiting for the trade to maybe get down to these levels here. So let's wait and see what the market gives us overall. So the next stock we're looking at is Tesla before we get into the indices. So as you guys can see, Tesla is heading in a downtrend. It was, of course, in this channel of ours here. My laptop is about to die. Let me put it into the charger quickly, guys. There we go. So we're charging again. So if we look at Tesla, when we last analyzed the market, it was literally in this consolidation box right here, and we're anticipating that it was going to head lower. And right now, that trade has been playing out perfectly. And right now, Tesla is sitting at a critical support zone that I have here. So this gray block right here is a really strong support zone. If Tesla cannot get above that level, I definitely see it heading lower. And it literally has no support until 76. So that's a pretty far drop. If you zoom out onto the 8-hour time frame, it's literally going to take us to it's going to take us to 2020 August highs. That is our next support zone. So things don't look too good for Tesla. Overall, I see it heading lower. Just it looks so weak right now, and just this alone, as you guys can see, until we can get above this zone right here, I think I'm still going to be very bearish on Amazon. You can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place an alert right here. So if the market does get below this level, then we know Amazon is definitely going to be heading lower. But until then, let's zoom onto the smaller time frames and see what it's going to be doing in the interim. You can see we're having some sort of a turnaround here. So we had this high, we have this high here, and we have this one here. So if Amazon can get above this zone right here, potentially be looking to short it here and head for shorts right here, because this would be a really nice trade. You have your stop loss maybe at the previous high, you enter the trade here, potential to the downside is +3. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking for right now. But other than that, I don't really see anything happening right now. With Tesla, I don't see any trade that we could take right now. So let's look at some of the juicy pairs, the indexes, Nasdaq and all of that. But firstly, let's start with the volatility. This is going to give us a good indication to where the market is heading this week. So overall, the volatility has been heading in a downtrend. We anticipated that if it does crack below this trend line that we had here, it's definitely going to head lower, and that's going to be a sign that the market is going to head up. But we literally didn't see that. So it seems like even though we're in this kangaroo market, the volatility is still heading lower, and it means that the market is definitely going to potentially look to go to the upside. But one thing that we need to look in mind is that we have this trend line right here. So if volatility does get down to this area of support here, we could potentially see a bounce where the market literally bounces back up, and then we see more selling pressure coming onto the markets. So let's see if we can pull this trend line here, okay, and maybe have a support an alert at this trend line here. So volatility is of course heading lower. So let's look at the S&P 500, and this is the S&P real markets. So if we go to the daily time frame, just to have an overall look at what is happening. See, the market was in a downtrend. It came above this trend line, it tested it right here, and it seems like the market is overall looking to head higher when I'm looking at the S&P 500. So let's go on to the 8-hour time frame, see if we can get anything off that. Okay, nothing. Let's go to the 4-hour time frame, 1-hour time frame. Okay. So right now, of course, we had that FOMC meeting last week. The market came back down, consolidated in the zone, and then literally we had the non-farm payrolls. The market came back down and literally bounced back up. So what I'm seeing right now is that if we can see the S&P 500 maybe get above this level, this is 87, around 89. I can definitely see it coming back to test these highs up here at 88, 400, probably just close to that 390. So if you guys want to miss out on this trade, definitely join our Telegram group chat down below. This is where I post most of my trades. So this is kind of the trade setup we would look for, if we see the S&P getting above the zone, maybe retesting, and then we would look for the entry to the upside. So let's look at the S&P futures, just to have an indication of what's happening right now, because the markets have not opened. It's Monday morning. So as you can see, in the futures market, we had this trend line, this channel moving to the upside. We've broken down below, and it seems like we are in this consolidation right here, and the market is either going to shoot to the upside, it's going to head lower. But overall right now, I can see there's still some selling pressure coming in on the futures market. So this is kind of the zone that we're looking at right now. Okay. So what we want to see is if the market can maybe head lower, maybe find some sort of like buying power around this level and head higher. I think that would be a nice trade that we would look for. So let's put this in here. Okay, so this is kind of the trades that we're looking for on our trade to have some space to breathe. So if we do see some sort of bounce at this zone, I think this would be a good time for us to maybe get into this trade. So I'm going to put an alert for this trade right here onto the group chat. So that is the S&P 500. Let's take a look at the US30. So this is the US30's real market. Okay, if we look at it on the weekly time frame, let's see what we're looking at. So we have this downtrend going up. The market tested this level once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. So if we go onto the daily time frame, see what we have. It seems like the market has cracked our channel that was heading to the upside. So let's zoom in. So we have this channel that's heading to the upside, and the market has cracked below it, and it seems like it wants to head higher. But let's see what we have on the 1-hour time frame. Okay, so we had this high, we had this lower high right here, and it seems like the market wants to get above that. But let's see on the 30-minute time frame. Okay, so I think A nice trade for the US30 would be if we can see the real market when it opens potentially try and get above the zone, but for now the market hasn't opened and this is where we closed off on Friday. So we also have this trend here, so we're just going to watch that if the market doesn't break below that. So let's look at the real market. This will give us an indication of what's happening right now as the markets are open. Okay, so then we go to my 12-hour time frame. As you can see, we had this channel going to the upside, and literally we had a crack down below, and the market seems like it's pushing a bit higher. You know, last week closed higher, so it seems like it's pushing it to the upside. So what we're going to do is I'm going to remove this trend line here. I'm going to put in a new trend line. So this was a low, this was a lower high, and if you can see the market potentially come back down, maybe test this lower high here, create another lower high here, and then we can potentially be looking for the trade to the upside. So let's see, let's draw another trend line this way. See if there is much. Okay. So if you guys want to miss out on the trades that we've taken on group chat, we have taken some phenomenal trades over the last few weeks. And if you guys want to miss out on the signals that we share on our group chat, definitely check it out. The link is in the description. So this is what we're going to be looking for on the US30. You know, until the market can get above the zone, let's see what happens. If the market can get above the zone, then we potentially be looking for a trade to the upside as well from here. But until then, this would be the trade setup that we look for to the upside. So we have two trade setups that we're potentially looking for here on the US30. Right now there's really no edge to it, so let's see what happens at this this trend line here, or if the market can get above the zone right there. So that's what I'm seeing in the US30. Let's check out the next pair. Let's check out the Nasdaq. Okay, so we have the Nasdaq right here on the daily time frame. So as you guys can see, the Nasdaq is still moving in this downtrend. We bounced off of the support level. I'm going to show you guys the support level so you guys can see where I've drawn it from. So we had this support level here that acted as support once, twice, and now the market has bounced off of that zone 3 times. So if we go back to the 8-hour time frame, you can see the market has literally bounced off of this zone right here. So let's go on to the daily time frame. Okay. So what I'm seeing right now, we had this gap here, the market came to fill it, so we can remove that right now. And it seems like right now the market is in this area. It's looking to go higher, but until it can get above this zone, I don't think there's any trade for us. So I'm going to set an alert for the Nasdaq on that. This is the real market, so if the market does get above this 266 number, I think we can definitely be bullish and looking for some setups to the upside. Maybe the market would come and maybe retest these highs up here. So this would potentially be a nice trade to the upside. But if the market, let's see, can get below this zone right here, this is basically our support zone, then I don't think things are going to be looking too good. But overall, let's see what's happening on the futures market right now to give us an indication of what's happening right now. So as you guys can see, futures market is heading lower right now. This is still the London session, so I think it's going to keep pushing lower until the market opens New York session. So we have this, let's say, this resistance line here that the market has battled to get above. As you guys can see, it came down, it bounced off of it, it came down, it tried to test it again, it couldn't get above, it came down, came to test it again, it couldn't get above, came to test it again, it couldn't get above, came to test it again, it couldn't get above. So it seems like the market is heading lower. We could potentially see the market grab some liquidity down here, and then we could see it bouncing back up to the upside. So this is kind of the trade I would be looking for right now on the Nasdaq. So let's just do this, put that back. Okay, so overall I think this is the trade that I'll be looking for. We want the trade to the upside, and what I've noticed, you want to give your trade some space to breathe, maybe having a bit lower than the previous lows, just in case the market tries to take us out. So what I'm going to do is put alert somewhere around here, just in case it turns a bit earlier, so that we can get ready for this trade setup. So overall, this is what I'm seeing with the US 100. It seems like it's hitting lower right now, but overall I think this is overall strong support zone, and if it can get below the zone that we have here, I think it could definitely head lower. But until then, let's see what this setup gives us in the next few days, and then I'll indicate to you guys in the group chat as well. So let's check out the German 30. The German 30. Let's go on to a weekly time frame. So as you guys can see, let me remove some of these lines, clean up the chart a bit. Okay. So what I'm seeing here, we still have this trend line heading to the downside. It seems like the market has cracked above this downtrend line, so I think it's probably going to look for some strength to push back to the upside. So let's see if this line will give us a better angle. Okay, so it's more or less the same thing. Okay, so what I'm seeing here, guys, is that the market tested the zone once, came twice, it tried almost the third time, and then right now it tested, it came back and popped up above. So what we could potentially see, if we zoom onto the lower time frame, is that this trade is going to be looking to get some liquidity and push the upside. So we sort of have this liquid area here. So what I could see the German 30 potentially doing is, we have this trend moving here. Okay, this is kind of like a, what do they call this pattern? I forgot what they call it. But anyways, you could see German 30 potentially come lower, maybe trick people to get it into the sells again, and then you could see it pop back up to the upside. So what I'm going to do here on this trade is I'm going to set alert right on this zone here. So if the German 30 does get into that level, we can be alerted the first time, because what it could potentially do is it could bounce off of this trend line that we have down here. So what we're going to do is we're going to set alert there, so that if it does, at least we can see what's happening, and then I'll set another alert around this area here. So if the market does get down there, and then we'll be alerted as well. So German 30, this is the likely trade that I'll potentially be looking for. There's maybe a trade to the upside from here. It could even explode higher than that. So I like generally taking swing trades. So this is kind of the patterns that I want. I want longer trades that I can hold for longer. So overall, German 30, this could be the potential setup that we look for. So let's see what happens in the next trading sessions, and I'll update you guys on the group chat as things go. So let's check Bitcoin. We had this downtrend line here where the market came. It was consolidating in this area, You know, we had it consolidating in this area. It couldn't get above, you know, this zone here. Oops, that's a bad line. It couldn't get above this zone here, and it couldn't get below that zone there. So right now you can see the market has come back up. It's tested this zone and it stayed above it. So right now I anticipate that we're going to see some sort of action like that continuing. So let's go on to the 4-hour time frame. Let's see if we can get some entries for this trade. So if Bitcoin can potentially come down to these levels, this would be a nice trade to the upside. Maybe have a stop, give it some space to breathe around there, and then yeah, overall I think this is going to be the trade to the upside, because it's already clearly broken to the upside. It's giving us an indication it's heading higher, and overall this is what I see. But I think it could potentially even turn earlier than that. So what we could potentially do, so we don't miss out on this trade, is have maybe a trend line around here. Okay, and I have an alert on that trend line. Okay, the market can get above that, and then maybe see if we can find another zone. Okay, let's take this zone here at 2020, at 2820. So that will be our indication that the market is potentially turning earlier, and then potentially look for a setup. But until then, I think this is the trade we're going to be looking for on Bitcoin. So let's move on to the next one. Gold played out amazingly last week. So we had this trade that I was looking at last week. So let me show you guys on the weekly time frame. So we had these 4 zones down here that the market couldn't get below. So it's like, okay, the market clearly doesn't want to get below that zone. So what we could potentially do is look to get it to the upside, because there's a lot of buyers sitting there, and this would be a perfect trade. So literally our trade setup played out amazingly, and this was the trade that we sent on to the free group chat as well. So if you guys are not on our group chat, please definitely join, so you guys don't miss out on juicy trades like this. But anyways, so let me remove that. What am I seeing this week? So I think the market could potentially reverse back down. Overall, I could see the market definitely potentially reverse back down and head lower. You can see we had these consistent zones where the market touched a couple of times. Okay, so we cracked down there. We had this resistance here, this resistance there. The market came and broke above that zone, and then it came back and it acted as a resistance again. It came back and almost acted as resistance here, and it's come back and to test as resistance again. So if we zoom on to the 15-minute time frame, maybe we'll get a clearer indication of what's happening here. Okay. Oops, this is moving. So this is the trend line we have going down. This is another trend line that we have here. This is kind of I would say a resistance zone that we have here. And then you can see this was a previous low. Okay. So right now the market is going to be trading more or less in the zone. So you could potentially see it come here, head lower, or you could see it potentially come up, test this high. If it tests this high and then comes above here, then I think the next trade for us is definitely the bullish trade to the upside. So this would be the trade to the upside. I think they'll be definitely going to test those lows and take them out. So this could be the trade to the downside, give it some space to breathe. Okay. So that's the trade to the upside. Okay. If the market does crack below this level that we have here, okay, what I'm going to be looking for is a selling position. Okay. we're going to give it a bit more space to breathe because we're kind of looking to hold this trade for a bit longer. So we could be potentially looking for this trade to come back down and maybe test these lows again, and that is an amazing trade. So imagine catching the upside and maybe catching the downside as well. So that's the nice thing about trading forex, is that you can go both ways. So this is the setups I'm really looking for this week. Let me put alerts so you don't miss out on any of these trades. The group chat, if you guys are not in the group chat, you guys definitely need to be a part of it. The link is in the description, so I'm adding my alerts there. Okay, so let's move on to the next pair. So we're looking at the DXY, the dollar index, and right now, as you can see, this is how we had last analyzed the market. The market is literally in this channel trading to the downside, and what I can potentially see the market doing is it's gaining some, it's gaining some strength, it's gaining some oxygen to push back to the upside. So what I'm seeing is the DXY is trading in this zone. Okay, and what you see generally in something like this is the market pops up or pops down. My likelihood is that the market is definitely going to head to the upside. So let's see if we can get into this trade early. Where would we be getting into this trade? So we have this previous high here that is kind of corresponding with this level that we had here. Okay, let's see if we can find another level that corresponds. Okay, we have this level down here that kind of corresponds as well. So I think these are the levels that we're going to be looking for. Let's see if we can add an alert here. So once the DXY gets into the zone, we know, and then once the DXY gets into the zone, we also alert it. Okay, so overall, I think the DXY is still going to head higher. I think this has some strength, and I think this is going to be the trade we're going to be looking to get onto. It's going to be a long trade to hold, but I think it's definitely going to be a good trade. So let's see what happens in the next few days, few weeks, and then we will be watching out for this trade setup. Because our overall target is 120 on the DXY. So if we can come back in the day, you can see this is the previous resistance down here. So I think the DXY is definitely going to come back to 120 days, and that's when the dollar is going to be at its strongest. But I think from then we're going to be potentially looking to short the dollar again. So for now, let's wait. Let's see what happens in these zones, and potentially see if we can get the DXY to the upside. So this is the Euro USD. Okay, so it's kind of doing what the DXY is doing, but in reverse. So you can see we have this channel here. Oh, lovely channel. Let's see if we can clone that. Clone. So we have that to the upside. So we've kind of missed this trade already. So let's see what happens when the market enters this zone here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an alert on this trend line. So once the market gets to this trend line, then we know, and I'm also going to put an alert at this previous high here. Okay, so this is going to also give some indication, when the market is close to its highs, so we don't ever miss out on a trade. So overall, I think if the USD can get up here, I think there's going to be some selling pressure. There's going to be some selling pressure to the downside. Let's see, the US dollar is definitely going to gain some strength again, and then this could be the trade we'll be looking for the USD. It's potentially come back and test. It's going to be stronger than ever again. So let's wait for this USD pair to play out. Until then, if you do want to really scalp it, you can see it's already cracked this level here. So if you do want to get into this trade right now, you could potentially get into this trade, maybe have a tight stop loss, maybe, have your stop loss around there, and then look for the trade to the upside. So on USDJPY, so I did see something here that I was interested in. I haven't analyzed it yet, but as you guys can see, it is forming a really nice structure here that I really like breakout patterns. So this is what I'm seeing with the USDJPY is we have this pattern here. I'm going to put an alert on the upside, so if the market does get above that trend line, then I'm looking for this trade to the upside, because I definitely see the dollar gaining strength again. So what we want to do is potentially get into this trade down here, buy low, sell high. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put alert again at the bottom of this channel here. So if the market does get down to the zone, we're potentially looking for buy entry to the upside, because as you guys can see, the dollar is just retracing right now, and then we're potentially looking for it to create new highs with the USDJPY, and that's kind of the setup that we're seeing right now. So we have two setups, either when this trend line is broken or when the market comes back down to the zone. So this is what we're going to be watching on for USD dollar JPY. So if you want to miss out on this trade, definitely join our Telegram group chat. So let's see what else we have. We have the USDZAR. Okay, so I'm going to remove that channel there. You can see the market came to test the zone 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So a really strong resistance level. Now we have the zone here. So it seems like the market is kind of in this area here. And then you also have this previous area here. So I think we could potentially see what we're seeing with the other pairs. The rand is probably going to head lower. It's going to gain some strength, but then I think we're going to see some strength in the dollar come back in, and we could see the dollar gaining even more strength and taking out these lows. So let's put an alert on the rand around this area here at 17.8, and let's put one lower again at 17.7, and potentially the trade we're looking for is a trade to the upside with the USDZAR. So let's see what happens. Give it maybe some space to breathe, because this is going to be a swing trade. And yeah, so as you can see, the market broke. It's trying to break above the zone, but I don't think the rand is going to be that strong against the dollar, because you can see previous highs with the rand are still at 19.3, so I can definitely see some more weakness coming in, and it's kind of, you know, in a consolidation pattern right now as well. So if we can grab some liquidity down here and then get the trade to the upside, guys, amazing trade. So let's see what else we have, if we have anything else. And we have the USDCAD, and I think this is the last trade that I have on my watch list this week. So let's look at it on the daily time frame quickly. As you can see, we broke up. We're literally in the middle of nowhere right now. The market is kind of creating a downtrending consolidation pattern. So I think the trade for this is going to be the trade to the upside, as you guys can see. So we have this, oops, we have this downtrend here. Okay. If you come into the 1 hour time frame, remove that trend line, remove that trend line. We have this low down here. The market is coming to test. Okay. And then what would be another significant zone that we'd be looking for? It's down here. Okay. So USDCAD, if it does head lower, I think same as the USDZAR, if it does get below this zone, I think we're going to be looking for buy trades from here to the upside. And if it does get below, above this trend line again, we're looking to take out those levels. So let's see what happens with the USDCAD. I'm definitely going to be watching these trades very closely, so if you don't want to miss out on them, you know what to do. So I'm going to put my trend Stop loss around here, tight stop. So let's create an alert. Let's create an alert. So if the market does get around this zone, you know what to do. Okay. Perfect team. So this is what I'm seeing, guys, this week. There's not too much to give away right now, but yeah, if you guys want to be a part of my team and join the VIP group where I share all of the trades I take, the link is in the description down below. So thank you guys for making it this far in the video. If you have, if you guys like this sort of analyzing and if you want to see more or have new inputs, please definitely put your thoughts down in the comments, like, subscribe, share this with your trading friends and buddies, and I will see you guys on the next video. Cheers.